Yo, what's up? It's Ryan, and today I got a request to do a video on whether or not I thought Serum from Xfer was worth the buy. Um, Serum right now is $200, I think, so it's like the same price as most scents of like this kind. Like Harmer is like 189, Massive is 200, I think. Silent was 200. Um, so like it's the same price range as most every synth that's worth caring about, really. Um, if we're being 100% honest. So and that's a lot of money for most people, I would think. Um, so let's just talk about my thoughts as to whether or not this is worth it. So for me, short answer, TLDR, yes, absolutely. Favorite synth ever. uh, it's really the only synth I use, if we're being 100% honest, and a little bit of Massive. That's just kind of how it is. But why? It's got to be just the control over everything you've got. Like I'm the kind of guy who loves to be able to tweak like every single knob and like get it exactly how I like. And like let's be honest, let's look how many knobs there are. You know, like it can go on and on and on for forever, and you can get exactly what you want and what you need out of this synth if you know how to do it, and that's really important to me. Is control over the sound, because I know products like Razor from Native Instruments are very much like you open it up and it sounds cool, but if you want to get any farther than that, then you kind of just can't. That's what I've heard from a lot of people. I can't personally say anything because I've never used it, but that's just what I've heard. So yeah. So really, the wavetables, they're great. There's not a ton of them, but there's enough. Like I've got some like extras that I downloaded off of Reddit and whatever. Like all these are extras, but like it comes with a solid amount. But if you like compare it to a Massive, when it loads up right here, if it loads up, like there's just it feels like there's a lot more in Massive, which they're probably right around the same. But yeah, and if you're wondering right now, like why is Serum your favorite and Massive's not, like look at all these knobs. The thing is, like Serum just makes more sense to me, at least. Like there's a visual aspect of it on top of doing exactly what Massive does. Like they both do the same exact thing. But Serum, you can, if you were to do something like this, you can see like how it's changing the shape and all of that, and that really helps me when I'm like tweaking a synth and everything. Being able to see that, like how it's changing everything, is super helpful. But if you go over to Massive, you have to load in like some extra visualizer or spectrum, and there's not even a keyboard that I can screw with because my QWERTY keyboard doesn't work for some reason. That's totally on me. That's nothing to do with Massive. But yeah, so it's just that part. I'm not a huge fan of Massive, but I know how to use it well enough that I know on a basic level like what everything is doing. And then Serum, you can just see it, and then you can also add like an EQ spectrum on top of that to see what's going on. Another thing is Serum, that's back to the whole visualization thing with the filters. That is like absurdly helpful, because how on earth would we ever know what the difference of like a French low pass, just like a regular low pass was, that visualization, if you didn't already know what it was? But that is probably one of the best things for me is being able to see the filters. I know how to talk, I swear. And like how all these knobs like affect it. I'm an insanely visual guy, so that really helps. I know Razer does similar things, but again, you don't have as much control over the sound, like what's going on. And Harmer does a sort of similar thing, but it's not really the same. In case you're wondering what I mean by that. Harmer, if you like open this, you can see like the notes and waves, and when you change it, it'll like show you what it's doing. It's not really the same. It's not as accurate. It's not as detailed as like this sort of thing. So again, or back to Serum. The filters, visualization is great. There's also just a ton of filters that I would have never thought to do with like an EQ. Like I would have never made like that in an EQ8. I would have never just thrown this on there and been like, oh, if we can just like take all of these, do something like that, and that would have never happened. But with this, it allows you to just have it there, and then you can just play around with it, make a bass super easy. I don't know, something like that. So filters are great. Visualization is great. Ton of wavetables. The effects are there. Obviously, there's always going to be better effects. Like for reverb, the obvious better effect is Valhalla Room. Just because it's Valhalla Room, like it's one of the best reverbs on the market, and like same with Shimmer. Like it won't be beat like anytime soon. So, but if you're just going for something quick, like it's more than enough, and you have the two different modes and all that. It sounds good. Compressors are great. All of these are like really, really solid effects. Again, obviously there's better like third-party things to add on top of it to make it better, but as like for 95% of what you'll ever need a phaser for, like this is fine. And if it's not, you have one right here, which will do even more. And so it's perfectly fine. The sound quality, all these are great. Also the sound quality of it, just synths. If we load up the init preset, we just like listen to the difference in saw waves between like this and Harmer. I screwed that up. Like there's not much of a difference, but like Serum's is just super sharp and like just clearer, honestly. And it feels like it's more harmonically rich. If we add a spectrum to the master, maybe we can see that. Serum. Armor. Like, there's not a huge difference, but there's enough of one to like tell that there is a difference. Like the Harmer one looks a little more muddy, so the Serum one just has like a level of clarity, and that goes through like all of the wavetables on like all of these are just super quality. Unison is great. The noise is fantastic. Sub, fantastic. Everything about it really fantastic. But yeah. So again, like that's kind of like an overview of why I love this synth. Huge downside though, the CPU load. If you were to do some crazy stuff, Like, let me just record real fast. If you were to have like that sort of setup, like that, but you also want a ton of voices. And you wanted a higher octave with a few voices. You want a reverb. Okay, that's a pretty basic sound, but if you look up at the CPU, it's 21% already, and I'm running a good CPU. Like, I've got the 4790, so it's like a really solid CPU, and one of the best for like an affordable, reasonable price. And it's like maxing out, like put 4 of these in a song, and you're like maxing out already. So that's one giant downside. But if you're smart about it and you only use like a few and use it like well, then you don't really ever need to, which is a good thing. But yeah, those are my opinions on Serum. I know it was kind of like all over the place, but I kind of just winged it. I improv'd this entire thing, in case you couldn't tell. Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts on this synth. For me, it's totally worth it. Everything about it is fantastic. The control, the sounds, the effects, everything about it is amazing. It's the only synth I use. So yeah, let me know what you think. And subscribe, like, do all that jazz. And I'll see ya next time. Peace.